Hi YouTube. I'd like to have a 401k discussion. I'm curious to know how you approach 401ks. In my very first video, I talked about how there was a concern that it was a disproportionate amount of my wealth. And I still have that concern. I haven't done anything about it. I did mention that to slow down the rate of growth in my 401k, I was going to take out a loan and then distribute that amongst other assets. What would I have bought? And I haven't done a thing, okay? And Jorge Felix had left a message for me on my video asking me to do a follow-up. And in all honesty, Jorge, my stance has really softened a little bit, and I'll get into all that. So let's talk about the good parts of 401ks. I can't regret the fact that I've been putting into it because, like I said, it is my largest asset. Okay, so from that perspective, that has gone right. I like the forced savings aspect of it. I like the, it's mindless. They take it out every paycheck. You figure out how you want to invest it, and it grows, and it does work from that perspective. And if I knew 100% that the government would always leave it alone, I would have a different opinion on it. But I hate the fact that my largest asset is tied up for the next 16 years of my life, at least. Okay, I mean, that's a problem. But my employer is very generous with the match. For every $60 I put in, they put in $80. Okay, I put in 6%, they put in 8%. And I tell you what, that is a really good financial tool, okay, if you're looking at it from that perspective. And I've toyed with the idea of not making contributions, but I cannot turn down that free money. But, here I am, with my 401k being my largest asset. But it really taught me the slow and steady approach to wealth building. Okay, just plugging away at it, paycheck after paycheck. Not worrying about it, and I know that dollar cost averaging has become a dirty word, but you don't really have a choice with your 401k. You're either up on your funds or you're down on your funds, and you're continuously plugging that money away. And I have adapted that approach to my silver buying. I actually mentioned this in my video, Silver, my 401 AG. I make steady buys, and I really tune out the price movements. Okay, I'm not saying I buy into parabolic spikes, and I don't say I buy at any price. So whoever wants to start using that terminology around me, you can save it. Okay, but the point is that I've found that by steadily trying to save money, paycheck after paycheck, is the best way to accumulate wealth over a long period of time, and it's worked. But here we are. So what do I think the future holds? I think that Greg Williams had made mention on my previous video. I think it was the equation for wealth. I talked about discussing with people at work how to slowly build wealth and how to try to lift their spirits by showing them after X amount of years this is what you'll have. And I mentioned the 401k, and people were pretty quick to correct me. And let me just clarify: I don't encourage nor I discourage people at work to get into 401ks. Okay, it's just that's the savings vehicle that they use, and there are 401k calculators all over the internet. So that's an easy way to show them. I don't get into specifics with finances. That's a way to get in a lot of trouble at work. I speak in generic terms. So that just to clarify that. But what the future is going to hold is, I think that Greg Williams brought this up, and I think he nailed it. I think at some point the government very well could force you into government debt, and I think that and pay you out an annuity. Okay, and unfortunately, and this is the worst part, I think people will applaud it. I really do. People seem to be applauding potential moves by the government like this that is not in their best interest. You've heard about like a chip implant. Oh, it'll have all your medical records on it. It'll be great. And people are like looking forward to this. I think it's insane. And the 401k will be another move like that. I think, it's coming where, at some point they could be forcing you into government debt. And I don't see how that would be a good thing. But I think, I think it's probably an inevitable move. And it will be under the guise of protecting retirees. Also, I think there's going to be a lot of means testing in the future. And, when the government starts trying to decide who's rich and who's not, well, if you're sitting there with a nice, flush, healthy 401k, believe it or not, even though you were middle class and you have that because you've been just putting away that money slowly but surely, you may be considered rich in the future. And, God only knows what you'd be missing out on just because you were disciplined putting into your 401k. I mean, I can see a lot of means testing happening in the future. At some point the bills are going to come due. And I just don't see I don't see a scenario where everything can kind of continue as it is. Okay, and anybody that has that kind of those kind of assets publicly, well, I think you become a little bit more of a target. Okay, and I can see some serious means testing, and also I don't think that in the future we're going to enjoy the low, and I'm using this as a relative term. I don't think we're going to see the low tax rates that we enjoy today. I think taxes are going to be higher. So when you're pulling that money out of the 401k, you're going to be paying higher taxes on it. So that's been part of my strategy, is I will only pull out of my 401k what I can to keep myself in the lower tax bracket. Okay, and I will sell off PM slowly but surely and do all sorts of other little things to try to keep myself in a fairly low tax bracket. So that's kind of the method behind the madness, if you will, kind of the thought process that I have. I'm curious how you guys are approaching your 401ks. As of right now, I haven't done a thing. And I've toyed with the idea multiple times of making large loans on my 401ks, and not just for PMs. There was a business move a buddy of mine had where we were looking at buying a store together. Well, I mean, this is money that I can get with a quick phone call, right? Because I can use my 401k as collateral, and you're paying the interest back to yourself, and the process would just have been a lot easier than going to a bank. So yeah, I toyed with it there. I've toyed with taking money out a couple of different times. You can't just make withdrawals, obviously, if I'm still working. If I wasn't working, that'd be a different thing. But then you're talking about huge tax hits. You're talking about huge, you're going to be taxed at the absolute highest rate. You lose basically half of it. Okay, that's pretty tough. That's a pretty tough pill to swallow. That's why I've never really entertained that. So I'm really curious what your thoughts are, guys. This is my 401k conundrum.